Hey, what is up, investors? Jason here. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 3 different EV companies. Now, all 3 of these are ones that are saying that they're going to have a vehicle available within the end of 2021 or sometime within 2022. These 3 companies, the first one is Lordstown Motors, who has a factory, the capabilities of producing their vehicles, but their biggest problem is, one, their reputation is a bit of a caution, as well as their financial situation. There's a lot of uncertainty if they will be able to get vehicles available to the public or even be able to stay in business. The next is Fisker, ticker symbol FSR, and this one doesn't have a factory and the abilities to make their own vehicles, but they do have a really good name behind them that does have a really good reputation for making nice vehicles. That is Henrik Fisker, but there's still that uncertainty if they will be able to get a vehicle available to the public, especially with the fact that they are not producing their own vehicles. Then the other one is going to be Lucid Motors, ticker symbol LCID. Now, Lucid does have a factory. They are making vehicles, and they are saying that they will have a vehicle available by the end of 2021, but they're going to be getting even more production out by 2022. So all 3 of these companies are in much different positions. I want to do a quick analysis of all 3 of these and just talk about them. Now, this video is by no means financial advice. I'm not trying to influence you guys to buy any of these stocks. There's also a lot of risk involved with all 3 of these in general, and more so with some of the other ones that I'm going to be talking about. So anyways, as we get to it, if you guys don't mind, please do me a huge favor. Please be sure to smash, destroy, annihilate, or just gently press that like button. It helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm and helps spread these videos to more people that might find it interesting. Also, subscribe if you have not already. And if you are interested in being a Patreon and helping support this channel even more, I do have one. The link is in the description. Thank you to all the Patreons. Now let's get to it. So all 3 of these stocks went public through a SPAC merger. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare where they were on the date of the merger to where the stock is now as a very simple analyst, and just pretty much look at where the stock is going and where the resistance has been on them. But we're not going to be going into any financials of any of these because all 3 of these companies have still yet to deliver vehicles to customers. So their revenues are way up in the air. Now, in the case of Lordstown Motors, who we're going to be starting first, their stock went public on October 23rd, 2020, is when they finished the merger. And if we look at from that time to now, their stock has gone down significantly. And there are things with this company that are quite a big risk. Now, looking over at their 52-week range, the stock traded between a high of $31.80 and a low of $4.77. Now, the market cap of this company obviously is much lower than where it was back in the day. Their market cap is $1.14 billion, and that's with taking into consideration the fact that the stock is up quite a bit on this particular day that I'm making this video, and that has to do with a new CEO that has taken the top position at the company. Anyway, so let's just go over to the everything that we're kind of just seeing with this stock, looking into the current month at this moment. Now, or actually, we'll pull back a little bit just so we have more to work with here. So we see the trend line that's going down, and that's dropping much faster than what we've been seeing, that the current resistance points of the stock. Now, we went through the previous support line, and our last support line is now our resistance line, and we really need to be breaking above that. So the stock has to go to a price of about $7 a share to end up breaking above that support, that resistance line, and make that a new support line. So we're seeing it on a pretty significant downward trend here. And the nice thing would be if the stock is able to trend back up and start getting back into the previous support and resistance lines that we had seen. Now, there is a lot, though, that is going on with this company. There's a lot up in the air, and there is also the possibility that this is one that could end up not being in business. But the catalyst that we do have to look forward to, if it all plans out, I should say, if everything plans out and they are in business, then they are still saying that they will be having vehicles that will be delivered to customers, as well as some potential other vehicles in the future to be looking forward to. Now, their capital is a big issue. The possibilities of them having any sort of funds to be able to produce any vehicles is the biggest risk with Lordstown Motors, and that is because they're pretty much ran out of cash. There were sketchy situations with the previous CEO, the previous founder CEO, with him lying about about where this company actually was during the time that they were announcing their merger with the previous company that they were merging with. Now, with all that going on, that's created a lot of bad PR for the company. That created an issue that really looks like that they could seriously be going out of business, which creates a huge risk factor to even own the stock in general. But then there's the other catalysts there that can say, hey, what if this new CEO guy does end up actually helping this company out, taking things forward here, and being a better name that can turn things around, which does create an issue too, though, because if we look at any company in history where the CEO was possibly going to be getting arrested or something for some sort of possible fraud, that doesn't really end well for any company. So it's going to be interesting to see if things do end up turning around for Lordstown Motors, and for anybody that is holding on to stock, then obviously I do hope so. But this is one, for myself personally, I just see way too much risk involved with wanting to invest into it for myself personally. But I don't mind what other people's risk tolerances are. Of course, we all do our own due diligence and just make those decisions our own way. But anyways, I think that we're going to have to see a lot with this to really turn things around. And there could be a good risk-reward case scenario, or there could be just even more risk in buying it. And that, to me, that's kind of that big gray area, and that's why I'm kind of just staying away from it. But let's look over at the next one. So if we were to look at Fisker, ticker symbol FSR. Now this one, when they went public back on October 22nd, 2020, and we look at that time to where they're at now, it's actually up a little bit since then. So that's a good thing. Back when they did the date of their merger, the stock went down to like the original SPAC price of around like $10 a share. So seeing them currently at the price of $13.75 is a good thing. But they're kind of teetering around this support line, which they would need to get it up to about $17 to see any sort of resistance there. So they still got quite a ways to go, but there's a lot of things that still need to happen with Fisker, and there is a lot of gray area with this company still, because when they were not even finished with the merger yet, it was up in the air who was going to be making their vehicles. Originally, because I had bought into the SPAC, I bought into SPAQ, and I was told that Volkswagen would be producing their vehicles, and I was sold on that, and I thought that was a great idea, but that was never confirmed. And then just before the merger happened in October of 2020, they announced that Magna would be producing their vehicles. But there was never a deal with Magna that was ever made. That deal with Magna actually never was completed until June of 2021. So there's a lot that kind of never really happened between the period of October 2020 to June of 2021. There was never a guarantee who was going to make their vehicles. And now that deal is signed, it's still a long ways out before Magna actually does make vehicles for Fisker. So it's hard to really go off the dates that were originally announced. And what Fisker is saying that they're going to have a vehicle out on the market by the fourth quarter of 2021, I believe, was the date that was said. But the Magna is a company that is based in Austria. They build vehicles for Jaguar and BMW. To think that Magna, a company that produces high-quality vehicles that are expensive, is going to be able to produce a vehicle for Fisker at the price that they're promising, the $37,000, which, talking about a vehicle that is going to be an SUV that's going to be half the price of Tesla and possibly better with materials that are recycled. There's a lot that's going to really be up in the air with that being something that's going to succeed. And we're going to have to wait and see, because literally there needs to be a production vehicle actually built to have some sort of any guarantee say. And these prices were all based off of prices out of the air without even a factory signed on to build their vehicles. Anybody can say a price that someone's going to cost if you don't even know who's going to be making it. And that's a big issue that I have with them. That's why I ended up not sticking with this company when the merger had gone through. But now let's go over to the next one here, and let's go over look at Lucid Motors. Now, I'll have to admit that I'm a bit more bullish with Lucid Motors than, of course, with the other ones. Lucid was one that waited a while to actually do their merger. The merger happened on July 23rd, 2021. So that actually just happened. There was a long period of time before then that things were able to settle down with this one. Now, before the merger was even announced that was going to happen with CCIV, there was just a lot of hype in general with the possibility of them announcing that they were going to be merging. So once all that dust settled and the stock was able to settle in on a price pre-merger, we were able to figure out where the stock was. And it's very similar to where it's actually at right now. And that's one of the things I like about looking at the graph here for Lucid Motors. It makes a lot more sense. Now, we've seen the stock trend down a little bit since their merger happened, but not a big issue in my opinion. It's not drastically falling down, and plus we know a lot more with Lucid Motors than we even know with the other two. We know that their factory is actually being expanded. It's going to be much larger. They're going to be producing a lot more vehicles here in the future. People have seen their vehicles on the road. They're doing a test. We know that they have said that they're going to have vehicles out by the end of this year. We know that their vehicles quite possibly do live up to the expectations of what they've said. They're doing a lot of beta testing right now. And we know that there's a bit more of a legitimacy behind Lucid Motors, which is the great thing that separates them from the other companies. And it makes their price of their stock make a lot more sense, in my opinion. And that's also looking at the hype that has really fizzled out with it before it even finished its merger. I like all that about this stock. It's a much better situation. Now, between the three stocks that we've talked about, looking at Lordstown Motors being about a $1 billion market cap, Fisker being about a $4 billion market cap, Lucid Motors has a market cap of more than $34 billion. So it's a much larger company by market cap in comparison, but at the same time it should be, because of the fact that they do have a lot more that is invested in their business. Now, they also are much closer to actually having revenues with their company than the other two companies are. So that makes, in my opinion, that makes Lucid Motors a lot more of a company that is to be taken serious, and it's a lot more of an interesting company that has gone public through a SPAC merger. But Lucid is also one that would need a lot of due diligence into. If you are somebody that is not familiar with it, it's one that would need to be looked into and understood, because it's a growth stock. All three of these would be considered growth stocks, but at the same time, there is a lot of risk in general with investing into companies that don't have any sort of revenue that is guaranteed. But that's why I like Lucid more so, just because of the fact that their revenues look like it's something that's going to be happening here in the not too distant future, and that's why I like it, and a lot more bullish on that one. But anyways, I just wanted to do this video, just kind of compare these three different stocks and go in a little bit of them and just do a little bit of an analysis. So I'd like to hear what your guys' thoughts are of these three different EV stocks. Is there anybody out there that is invested into Lordstown Motors? I'd like to know what your opinions are of Lordstown and the way that stock has been going here recently, as well as everything that's been going on with Fisker. Is there anybody that has a lot of support in Fisker? I do like Henrik Fisker, by the way. I do like the designs that he does, but it's going to be interesting to see what does happen as far as an actual company in the future. That'll be an interesting one to follow. I will be following it. And then I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on Lucid Motors. So with that being said, please like, share, comment, subscribe. New videos coming out on my channel all the time. Thank you guys for watching.